Masters of Change Show, bringing you real entrepreneurs, real experiences, and real advice, with big inspiration and a whole lot of soul. Whether you're looking to start or grow your business, hack life, or learn personal growth strategies, we are confident you'll hear game-changing ideas and perspectives here. Ready to learn? Always with a big smile, with your host, Bara Ali. Listen to the show 24/7 at www.mastersofchangeshow.com.
This is another episode with my lovely guest, Julia Connor. How are you doing, Julia?
I'm doing wonderful. It's an honor to be here, Bara. How are you?
I am fantastic. It's a gorgeous day here, sunny and beautiful. And, it doesn't get better. And having a great conversation will be the highlight of today.
That always brings sunshine into any day.
Absolutely. So, Julie, before we start, let's. I know a little bit about you. Let's get the audience to know a little bit more about Julie and your work as well.
Okay. Well, my name is Julie Connor, and I am a goal-setting strategist, and I help people get clear about their purpose, define their vision and mission, align their goals with their purpose, and then to establish themselves as thought leaders across social media. There's a lot of people that are eager to step onto the world that is social media, and it's a big beast. Mm-hmm. But if we enter it with a real clear sense of purpose, then we start engaging with the people that will become our followers, and we start connecting with the thought leaders, which is what social media is all about. It is not about promotion. It is about building relationships.
Amazing. That's an interesting and incredible way of looking at it. A lot of people say, social media is just about marketing and about putting messages and connecting, but you look at it from a totally whole perspective.
Well, that's what it has to be, because I guarantee for those, the fastest way to lose followers and to distance yourself from people is to be all about the product and the services that you sell. Uh-huh. People want to know, they want to build relationships, and social media, especially now in a 21st century global economy, gives us opportunities to do that. And I really believe that anyone who poo-poos, for lack of better word, social media as a arena where you can't build authentic relationships has never built authentic relationships across social media. And there are ways to do that. I help empower people with those skills and the knowledge they need to do that, to make it happen.
And where do you see the difference? What are the outcomes that you see out of your work when people are really clear about their social media? I mean, why people should care about not necessarily about social media, but why is it so important, and why it's so essential to be clear about what you want to do online?
I don't think, if you're not clear about your own purpose, if you're not clear about your goals, then the things that you post across social media are going to be scattered.
I see.
And I have a beautiful personal experience with that.
Okay.
To back up some,
yeah.
in 2011, I was graduated with my doctorate degree in educational leadership. I had been doing organizational leadership with schools and businesses and churches and organizations for more than 35 years.
Wow.
When I graduated, I had my research in 2 universities, and at the time I was picking up clothing from the dressing room floors at Macy's. Wow. Because my school district downsized, my position was cut, and I was overqualified. I was overeducated. I was what many people considered too old, and I had no idea what I didn't want, what I wanted to do next. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was unhireable. It wasn't until later that I heard somebody use one word that changed my life, and that was seasoned. I was somebody who was seasoned. I had seasoned experience, and I had seasoned knowledge, and I had to learn how to take all of those skills that I had with organizational management and make it personal. Because at the time, I had no idea I couldn't set goals because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And that hammering that all out, getting clear about my own vision and my own mission, all came out of just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life.
Right.
What made me feel passionate? What was it that was fun? After I lost my job, I spent 2 years trying to apply for positions in data analysis, helping teachers use data to drive instruction. And 2 years later, I finally realized I hated this. I not only hated it, but I hated it a lot. But I did it because it was familiar.
Okay.
And I knew how to do that. To get clear about my own purpose was something that was really hard. I didn't realize at the time I was actually shaping a new career, because as I got clear, I was able to help other people get clear. I was in a conversation with a gentleman that I hoped would help me design a more professional website. And he asked me what my purpose was when my plan for social media.
Okay.
And I told him I wanted to help people define their vision and mission and set goals. And he said, Julie, if I would have looked at I've been to your social media post, and he said, if you don't mind me being honest, I would have thought you worked for the Humane Society. And I didn't understand. And I said, tell me more. And he said, well, I know what you say you do, but many of your posts on Facebook examples were videos of puppies. And in fact, my username was Julie Loves Puppies. And so I knew I had to get aligned across the board about not only my purpose, but about the people I wanted to connect with. Who did I feel were the thought leaders? Who were engaged in conversations? You, Bara, for example, on the social media group that we belong to, right. Social Media with Heart, the one thing that I really loved about the things that you post is they're so positive. You post things that inspire people. And I knew that as I followed your posts, those were things I wanted to respond to. And I wanted to connect with other people you were connected to, because as you brought up at the beginning of this conversation, it's a beautiful, sunshiny day.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to connect with the other people that are out there that also look out their windows and they see the sunshine too.
So true. So true. So true. And thank you so much for the compliment. I mean, as we think there is no other way of looking at life, because life it's hard, business-wise or personal life is very hard on all aspects. And I truly believe that life is not fair. So you either going to continue to say, oh, it's not fair and that's not worth living, or it's not, nobody cares, or you can say, you know what, it's a beautiful day, and no matter what, regardless of what's going to happen, it's going to be a beautiful day.
Exactly. And one thing I learned about challenges is really a matter of perspective. We can look at challenges as those obstacles that prevent us from moving forward.
Right.
And block us from doing those things we want to do, or we can look at them as directional arrows that point us in a new direction. And the experiences that we share as we meet challenges actually are equipping us with new tools and new knowledge and new ways of doing things that we couldn't before. When I lost my job in 2011, it was an open door. I remember when I received the letter, it was like fire burning in my hands, and I could feel the question within me. You always wanted to get out and speak and inspire others. What are you going to do now? And so that struggle that followed in the years afterwards were the doors that were opening to, there would be no way I could not effectively meet one-on-one with people, and as a group with people who were in areas of transition, or wondering how they could work better as teams, or wondering how they could pursue new opportunities, especially those opportunities online. I could not fully reach them, I don't think, had I not shared those experiences. Right. And that's what our challenges give us the opportunities to do. They give us opportunities to connect and relate with one another.
That's so true. That's so true. And sometimes the challenges is what make us who we are, and our...
absolutely.
Yeah. I wouldn't call
the attitude with which we go into those challenges.
Right. I wouldn't call them failures, but rather than mistakes on the way that have a negative consequence. And sometimes without them, you can't move forward. You can't be who you are. You can't produce. You can't learn from your own. I mean, they say learn from your own mistakes, and it shapes who you are, and sometimes open up opportunities that you never thought of because it gets you out of your comfort zone. Absolutely.
I agree 100%. I have a wonderful story because I have been talking about goals and planning skills for much of my life. A real critical turning point in my life was when I was conducting a workshop, a goal setting workshop with a group of high school students.
Okay.
And there was one student who, as I worked with a small group of girls, kept asking questions. And I was irritated, and I turned around, and just to quiet him, I meant to ask, tell me about your goal. But that's not what came out of my mouth. What I asked was, tell me about your dream. And the class got quiet. This was an 18-year-old high school student, looked at me. He had tears in his eyes, and he said, my dream? I don't know. No one's ever asked me that question before. And speaking as an educator, one thing that I believe primary teachers are excellent at for our kids that are ages 5 through 6 and 7, we applaud. We ask them what they want to be when they grow up. And we get excited when they say they want to be a doctor or an attorney or president and have big, bold dreams. And then when they enter their middle school years, around 11, 12, 13, they meet with high school counselors, and their first questions are, we'll select your classes based on what you want to be. What do you want? And we start talking them out of their dreams as quick as we did building them up when they were much younger. And I think that's a critical question we forget to ask. One of the things that I realized as a goal setting strategist was, for many years when I worked with large organizations and schools, it was very good to be having conversations about using planning tools to help students, for example, apply for a job or to get ready for an interview. But I realized I was showing them how to use these tools to reach extrinsic goals, how to reach somebody else's goal without getting back to the dream question about how do you want to use these tools for your dream to fuel your passion? And so I think one of the ways of, a lot of times I find if I begin the conversation with tell me about your goals, that young person taught me so much about how to relate to people. And I'm so grateful to him, because I realized that as I begin these conversations with tell me about your goals, many times people are totally overwhelmed. But if I can start from just a very relational, and I do it because not because of any marketing strategy, but because I simply want to get to know the person, will ask, tell me about what you're doing now. Tell me about what you love. Tell me about what you really enjoy. What makes you feel passionate? What is your dream? And people, when you start asking those questions, can talk forever, which is exciting. That's where it starts.
People are passionate about themselves.
Yes, I agree. Because when people, when I meet, especially with individual clients, when I meet with individuals, sometimes they're so frustrated, they don't know where to start, and they're not even clear about what they want to do next. But the thing, when people meet with me, it's at the very beginning of their journey. And usually they don't need to meet with me for very long, because once they get clear about those things that excite them, and I walk them through processes, through tools that I've developed that help them get clear about their dream. And how do you break that down into annual goals? What does that look like into monthly goals? Or if we pull that into weekly goals, what I help people do is get clear about their dream so that they can start pursuing a dream or a goal. Now can seem like it's very large, but I help break that process down into bite-sized chunks so that they can start doing something today and working some things in their schedule, no matter how many children they have or how many work responsibilities that they have. There are some things that we can begin to do now that can get us one step closer at a time. But I love the analogy. How do you eat an elephant?
Yeah, one
bite at a time.
That's so true.
And that's how we pursue our passions as well.
So let's start with the beginning. What is the first step that you work with your client? What's the first thing they need to get before they do anything?
Well, I think one of the things that we talk about when I work with clients is I find out what their needs are first.
Okay.
Some of my clients have a clear dream. They just don't know how to insert that into goals, or they don't know how to start building that into a process that they can build into their schedule. Mm-hmm. Others have no idea what their dream is, but they want to get in touch with the things that they enjoy again. So we have a conversation with that. Yeah. Dreams to Action Trailblazers Guide. And I wrote this because I had heard many, many speakers talk about how you can be successful and launch a new career. Okay. But I read their books, and their books were autobiographies about how they did it. Okay. But none of their books showed me how I could do it. And so I did what I advise many young authors to do: write the book you need. And that's exactly what I did with my book. My book is not so much as an outline of my story. My book helps other individuals figure out what their story is, and it's written in workbook form.
Oh, wow.
So that they can get clear about their dream. One of the things that I do that starts on this page, that's called Dream It, Plan It, Do It, Define Your Goals, is I help people. Many times I help people, especially if they have many ideas going through their ideas at once and don't know where to start. We begin with a bucket list.
Okay.
What are those things that you'd love to do, and make a large list, of all of the things that you'd love to accomplish before the end of your life. Okay. And I encourage them, rather than writing it in future tense, I will go to New York City and see a Broadway play. I will open a Twitter account and engage in 10 meaningful conversations across Facebook. Whatever that looks like, I ask them to exclude the word will and write them in present tense. So that they're things they begin today. I open a Facebook account.
Okay.
I engage in 3 conversations on Twitter today. I will write 1 meaningful blog post in an area that I feel knowledge about. So they write it in present tense.
Okay.
And then I invite them to take that list. And this is certainly not something we can all do in one sitting. Right. I break it up. I've done some book studies with my book, Dreams to Action Trailblazers Guide. It is available on Amazon. I've also done just individual coaching with it, where we take that bucket list and then we break it down into annual goals. Okay. For example, not all of those goals are going to be career goals. Some may be family goals. They may be spiritual goals. Correct. They may be health and wellness goals. We take those down and we break them to areas. Then once we have those lifetime goals identified by area, I invite them to go back over their list and reflect, and to pull out the things that are most important. We start prioritizing that list, and we identify 1 to 6 goals for the year. What are the things that are most important to you? And then we take that list of annual goals and we pull out the thing that you'd like to most work on this month. Mm-hmm. And then we take 1 or 2 of those goals and we start talking about specific tasks.
Okay.
Specific things that we can do today. And I think sometimes when people look at Like, for example, I'm going to open a Facebook account and launch a Facebook page. Sometimes I think it's important for people to know about the tasks that they do includes learning about it. I am going to read 15 Facebook posts a day. I am going to commit myself to 15 minutes of reading Facebook posts. I don't think it's so important to get all tied up in numbers as much as it is that we commit to a certain amount of time each day. We start from the big list of all of those lifetime goals, and we start channeling it out through priorities. What's most important, and what tasks can we do that align with that? The beauty in those kinds of processes, when I started out, I was a motivational speaker. Now I'm a goal setting and social media strategist. It got clear because I started somewhere.
Right.
It got clear for me because I jumped in, and that's the one thing I learned once again from my students. Jump into the sandbox and don't be afraid to break stuff. Right. Get in there, do something. You can always modify it. You can always change it. You can always adapt to it, but start somewhere. Don't be afraid to start.
And that's sometimes the struggle is the hardest is you always think that there is one more thing left to figure out before I can start.
Yeah, and that can be paralyzing, Bharat. I believe too many. I think one of the biggest crutches, one of the biggest obstacles to success is when individuals think they must figure it all out before they start. And the exact opposite is true. You will figure it out after you start. And in that, enjoy the journey.
Right.
The thing that's so fun is engaging with people. You don't have to do it perfect.
That's correct.
But you do have to do it. It's like the comment that I saw the other day. You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great.
I agree. I so agree. So powerful. Is that one of your favorite quotes?
It is but one of my favorite quotes is the same fire that melts butter hardens steel.
Oh.
And that just gets to those experiences that seem most difficult are the ones that are shaping us to be even bigger and badder and better.
So, Julie, when you talk about goal settings, what do you find people make mistakes in? What to avoid, not to do? What are the mistakes we make before we start the process of goal settings?
When I meet with groups and when I meet with individuals, oftentimes I'm invited to come in to help them set goals or to get clear about their vision and mission. And they're ready to get their calendars out and start plugging in tasks that they want to complete. Okay. And that's actually the last step. That's not the first step. And they sometimes find the process of visioning, which is when a group or a person creates their own vision statements. It's about who we are and what we want to be in the world.
Right.
A vision statement is who we are, the presence, the legacy that we want to create. For an individual, as a businessman or a businesswoman, a vision would actually be part of your 30-second speech. That's who you are and what you share. The mission is how you do that. How is it that you bring your vision to fruition? My vision is I want to inspire everyone to pursue their dreams with confident passion. My mission is I inspire people with the tools and the knowledge they need to establish themselves as thought leaders across social media. That took me a while. It took me a long time to develop and drill down. And it wasn't that months ago or years ago. But I had opportunities to drill that down. So I think it's important first in the goal setting process for people here's 5 questions that they can consider. Question 1, who am I? Question 2, who do I serve? What do they want or need? And how are they changed? So question 1, who am I? Question 2, what do I do? Question 3, who do I do it for? Question 4, what do they want or need? And question 5, how are they changed? Once they get clear on those 5 questions, then they can start setting goals. And it's in the clarity first, because so oftentimes we take, I believe, goal setting strategies without clarity is like taking arrows and throwing them through the air without a target. You're never going to hit the bullseye unless you know what direction you're heading.
Right.
And so if you're not, it's important to be real clear about what you do, who you do it for, and what service or what product you deliver that will change lives. When you're clear about that, then you can start setting goals. And then you start looking at, does it meet my goals or not? We can start looking at time management. Am I allowing the right amount of time?
Right.
For example, as a goal setting strategist, if I'm spending 5 hours a day on social media, I need to, how does that balance out with the other things that I'm doing in my life? Am I making phone calls and the connections that I need to be making? And so it's important to have clarity about what you do and who you do it for. And then we can start setting up some goals that align with that, because our goals, once we're real clear about our purpose, then our goals either align with our purpose or they don't.
Correct.
And we're not overwhelmed by all the different choices that we have to make.
And that yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and that is the hard, is not to be overwhelmed with everything around you is the most challenging piece. I find it myself, that having so many things to manage even today.
Yeah, well, and I do believe that when we're clear about our purpose and selective about our goals, then as other things that pop up in our life, do you want to be in charge of managing the flowers at church? Do you want to, or whatever it is, do you want to be part of the carpool? We can start taking priorities. We can start prioritizing about the choices we make in our life. And then it gives us, once we make timeful, mindful choices about how we spend our time, then we become empowered to exercise our right to say, no, thank you. And that's hard.
I know.
If we're focused on what it is that we're called to do, and whatever tasks that come our way contribute to that or not, we become much more selective about how we spend our time.
Do you have any books that you have read that changed your life? Would you share with us like 2 or 3 these books that were the aha moments of your life?
One of the best books that I read, on my own bucket list, was I wanted to write a book. And I wanted to write a book that empowered people. I had no idea how to write a book. I knew how to edit books, but I didn't know how to write one. And I picked up Ape, author, publisher, entrepreneur, by Guy Kawasaki and Sean Welch. I had no idea who Guy Kawasaki was, but when I did a Google search, the Guy Kawasaki, and he has written many ebooks, but the book Ape, author, publisher, entrepreneur, not only discusses the process of writing a book, it is jam-packed with links that, he not only talks about going to Create Space to design the format of your book. There are links built within the book that led to Create Space and led to all of these other tools that are available online to create the book I wanted. But another thing I believe the whole phrase "jump into the sandbox and break stuff" that I just love came from Guy Kawasaki.
Okay.
And I am honored to be in his acknowledgments of his new book, The Art of the Start 2.0.
Okay.
And once again, all of the things that I've learned are, once I read the books, I find out where they are on social media, and then I engage with them so I can learn more. If anybody has got a book inside of them or really wants to know all about how to write your own ebook and to engage in this world of entrepreneurship, I strongly advise you to get APE, Author, Publisher, Entrepreneur. I love that book. It was awesome. And another book that I really enjoyed was one that he wrote along with Peg Fitzpatrick, who was called The Art of Social Media. And it is a nut if you have, I think it's very good for beginners, but I think it's also a book that's good for anyone that's interested about how to effectively engage and build relationships across social media. Is their book, The Art of Social Media. It's terrific.
Brilliant.
It's all about building relationships. I loved both of those books. And thirdly, you asked about a book. I remember a book I read a long time ago, and it was called Why Bad Things Happen to Good People.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And because I was at a point in my life where I was really struggling with panic attacks. And I think the thing I remember, it was authored by a Jewish rabbi who had struggled with the death of his own 14-year-old son from leukemia. And it was once again a powerful book about how we choose to look at life challenges and still find beauty and something meaningful in the lives that we live. It was a beautiful book, but there were really 3 little lines that really profoundly affected me after reading that book. And it was, God loves. Number 2, bad things happen. Yeah. And number 3, God loves even when bad things happen.
Right.
Because I think sometimes we tend to equate the goodness of the universe or God with bad things that happen in our lives.
Right.
And there is not a single person in this life that escapes the life unscathed. Everybody has personal challenges. Everybody has a 1 in 1 chance of dying sometime in their lifetime. It's inevitable.
Right.
And all of us are going to experience difficulties. Yeah. How long we choose to suffer is up to us.
And what you do about it is up to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I still remember to this day, the day, when I was dealing with panic attacks and depression. I made an appointment with a doctor, and I just couldn't live like this anymore. And so I made an appointment, and I went in and I explained that I was delusional and psychotic. And he looked at me and he said, well, thank you, Julie. Thank you for your diagnosis. Where are you getting your information? And I told him, because I hear voices. And he said, that's frightening. What are the voices saying to you? And I said, the voices are telling me I'm bad and I'm broken and I'm no good and that I'll never amount to anything and I'm damaged goods. And he said, those are terrifying voices to hear. But those voices that you're hearing, Julie, are voices that are coming from within you. You have the power to change your own thoughts. And if there's any spoken word that had changed my life more profoundly, it was those. You have the power to change your own thought. I did not know that. I thought I was victim to my own thoughts. Yeah. I did not know I could reprogram and I could negate, or even using simple positive affirmations, going to gratitude when I felt anger. Those were things that I did not. When I had these scary thoughts, I tried to run, but you can never run very far from yourself.
That's so true.
And so that when I learned that I had the power to change my perspective, that changed my life. Amazing. I knew I wasn't a victim to my thoughts any longer.
That's so true. Thank you so much for sharing such a power. And I know it took a lot of gut and a lot of work to get to where you are today, and to think positively and look at life from a totally different perspective. People look at it and think, oh, you just got there and it's so easy, but they have no idea what happened during the process, and how much it felt, and how down you felt, and how hard it was, and how what is the word that I'm looking for? It was brutally hard to live with yourself until you worked through it and made it happen.
Well, and I think the thing that was so powerful about that short experience that I had with the doctor was that it was more than just talking about it. Talking about it needed to happen, because if I had not talked about it, I would have gone another 20 years thinking I was psychotic and delusional. And so talking about it was essential, because that helped me name the issue. But then I had to do something about it. It's one thing to name and repeat and to cry and get stuck. But sooner or later, the only way we're going to move forward is when we make a decision to do something different.
Right.
And that's where the power is when we take responsibility for our own lives and our own happiness. It's not up to anybody else to fix us. It's up to us to do the steps. It's up to us to do the work. The joyful thing is that we don't have to do it alone. We can do it in community with others. And that's where the power is.
And with this such a powerful message, and the power to make it, and the power, the personal power, and doing it together, I would like to really thank you for taking the time. We're almost getting to the end of the show here. Thank you so much, Julie, for taking the time to talk to me. It's been an honor to learn from you and listen to you, and discuss so many aspects of goals.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's been truly a joy. I will keep following you because I love the happiness I feel when I see your posts. You ask lots of questions as well. And so I'll continue to join your discussions that you post. If anyone has any comments or things would like to share, connect more with me, you can meet with me on my website at www.drjulieconnor.com. That's make sure you spell Connor, CONNOR.com.
Absolutely. And Doctor, thank you for sharing. We will have in the show notes, we'll have links to your book and as well as to your website. So if people are very interested as well to see your work and follow you, we'll have everything in the show notes. So I just will have, if there is anything you would like to share that I haven't asked before we end, please go ahead.
Start somewhere, do something, and get social. Get in there. People, your audience is waiting for you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. That was an incredible interview with Dr. Julie Connor. Until we meet next time, have a lovely night. Bye-bye.
Masters of Change Show, bringing you the most unique, brilliant, and inspiring entrepreneurs who will share their expertise to help you start and grow your business or inspire you to follow your passion and live your dreams. With your host, and a big smile, Bara Ali. Listen to the show 24/7 at www.mastersofchangeshow.com.